Hi Cancer, welcome to your love reading for November 2025. I hope you're doing well. This is a general love reading, so take what resonates and leave the rest. And please don't forget to like and subscribe. Okay, Cancer, let's see what's coming through. So we have the Nine of Wands, the Page of Swords, the Tower, the Queen of Coins, the King of Swords, the Queen of Swords. We also have Five of Wands, Knight of Swords, Five of Cups, and the Queen of Cups, which represents the main energy around your love life for this month. So interesting. It looks like there's a lot of people around you for the month of November. There's a lot. I'm going to have to look at this reading really carefully because there are some interesting synchronicities just in the cards without having tuned into anything yet. Notice how here we have the Queen of Coins, the King and the Queen of Swords. This is like really interesting. And then the kind of main energy is the Queen of Cups. Now this could be you because you're water sign, but it could also just be love and being kind of, gentle energy, especially with some of the cards that I see here, like the Five of Cups and the Nine of Wands. The main energy could also be that they're asking you to be gentle with yourself, to surround yourself with gentle people, to have an open heart, to be forgiving and compassionate, maybe with other people, but also with yourself. Okay, so let's take a look at this one row at a time, the Nine of Wands, the Page of Swords, and the Tower. So the first card is the Nine of Wands, and this could be that you're coming into the month of November, kind of feeling protective of yourself. I feel like you may have received some type of communication because you have the Page of Swords right beside it. You may have received some type of communication that has you kind of rattled. And we also have the Tower up there. I feel like you're feeling protective of yourself coming into the month. This is the energy of, especially for Cancer, because Cancer is usually very kind of generally protective of themselves. And you don't really kind of share everything with just anybody. And I feel like starting off the month, even though you're generally always protective of yourself, you're really kind of on guard and really kind of concerned about something. It could even be like somebody interfering in your relationship. I feel like there has been some type of communication or gossip. We have the Page of Swords. To me, this card can represent sometimes like slander. It could also represent something that somebody has told you that almost hurt because it was something like really blunt. So it's either that you're coming into the month with this energy where like somebody has told you something that almost, kind of broke your heart, or it left you kind of feeling like now you can't open up to them. And that would explain why the Queen of Cups is here, asking you to keep an open heart, be gentle with yourself. I feel like you may have received some type of communication that hurt, like somebody was just completely honest with you, but at the same time that really kind of hurt your feelings. It's either somebody did that to you or you had to be with someone else. And then the Tower is there. So the Tower, I feel like there's been or there's going to be a huge shakeup for you. And I feel, again, I feel like it's all tied together. I feel like there's going to be a huge shakeup because some type of communication you may hear from someone from the past that just, it's like they change everything. Like you feel like everything was kind of nicely put together in your life. You feel like everything was, as it should be, and, you've had something solid. And it could be that someone from the past comes, into your life and kind of shakes things up. And like I said, this row here is going to be interesting. So it's either you that's, feeling really protective, or it could even be like your partner being protective of your relationship because of some type of communication that comes out of nowhere. With that Page of Swords, it's like somebody's completely honest, and they're completely honest, but somebody is hurt by this. And this energy of the Tower is just like, I feel like it could be shocking communication, but it could also just be like a huge shakeup in your relationships. Now this row here, the Queen of Coins, the King of Swords, and the Queen of Swords, so This is interesting. I mean, you are a water sign, but the King of Swords and the Queen of Swords, this could be a reference to you and your partner. I mean, the King and the Queen, they belong together, same element, the suit of air. But it's like somebody else comes into the picture. And this really does resonate with what was going on up here. Like I said, you're a water sign, but it could also be that, you know, that the court cards, it doesn't necessarily have to go by sign. It could just be that you're a very kind of mental person. Even though I'm a water sign as well, I sometimes kind of think of myself more of a mental person because I have a Virgo moon, which is still an earth sign, but Virgo can be very mental. And I feel like, you know, this could be you and your partner, you know, side by side. And then, you know, there's someone else. And this is really interesting because I just noticed that right here. Look at what's going on right here. The Nine of Wands, Queen of Coins, Five of Wands. This card represents competition. It represents somebody kind of interfering. Not always. I feel like it's not a message for everyone, but it could mean that somebody else kind of wants what you want. So it could be that somebody is kind of interested in you, even though you're already in a relationship. And maybe it's your partner, like I said, that's really kind of overprotective of your relationship. You're already together, but yet somebody else is here. And this could be someone who is an earth sign. And like I said, I feel like this King and Queen, I feel like this is you and your partner kind of together. And this Queen of Coins, like I said, male or female, someone who's an earth sign, it's just like, I feel like, you know, they came right after the Tower. I feel like this earth sign, and it could be, you know, someone who, again, earth sign, sun, moon, or rising, that comes in and just kind of like shakes up your relationship in some way, someone from the past, or it could be someone new. Now this row here, the Five of Wands, the Knight of Swords, the Five of Cups. So if this really applies to you and you feel like it's somebody from the past or somebody new, the Five of Wands, this represents like competition. So, I mean, like I said, as soon as I saw this, I was thinking, whoa, this is interesting. Like, there's somebody literally, here's a king, the queen together, and here's someone else in the picture. It could be that there's kind of competition, either like somebody is interested in you or somebody's kind of interested in your partner. And, you know, somebody's fighting back right here. Like, somebody is not just going to hand over their partner. Somebody is really going to fight. And that energy is here, and that energy is here. And for a lot of you, I'm getting the message that you are the one that's being fought over. If you're completely single and you're thinking that doesn't apply to me, it could be that you meet your match, you feel a connection to someone in November, but then here comes someone else that also seems like really interesting in your type. And it could be that, you know, the first person that you met is not going to they're not going to want to let you go. I feel like someone could be like fighting over you. Let's just kind of go with that because I'm getting another message. But I want to get this all out before I kind of lose it. So I feel like this is kind of like, you know, somebody fighting for their partner. Like they're not willing to just kind of hand them over and say, oh, well. I feel like here, you know, we have the Knight of Swords. And to me, the KN, I don't usually read the Knights as a court card. To me, the Knight of Swords, it represents kind of being really spontaneous and impulsive. And I feel like for some of you, like the competition is just kind of, it's difficult to choose. It'll be interesting to see what confirmation cards come up from these two decks because this is really interesting. I feel like it's really hard for you to choose, but I feel like you just do what you have to do. The Knight of Swords represents being impulsive and spontaneous, and I feel like you just kind of follow your gut. And because of that, we have the Five of Cups here. I don't know, I keep getting the message that somebody is kind of hurt. And you know, I was already getting that message up here. It's like it all starts off because of some type of communication, the Page of Swords, like somebody, you know, a message coming out of the blue. Next to the Tower, again, this could be like some shocking communication. And for some of you, it's not all going to be that somebody, you know, else comes into the picture. This could, you know, also be you and your partner. Like I said, the Page of Swords can mean that there is a conversation that, you know, it really hurts your feelings, or somebody, your partner brings something to light that you weren't aware of, and you're feeling really protective of yourself. And it could be that you make a decision that really kind of changes everything because of this communication. With the Tower there, I feel like there will just be important communication for you in the month of November. Things that, game changers. I feel like it just, your relationship could, I feel like your relationships could change because of this communication. Whether it's coming from your spouse or another person, or there could be someone else in the picture. And like I said down here, I feel like if there is competition where more than one person is interested in you, I guess it could also be the other way around. Someone else is interested in your partner. It's like you're not just going to hand them over, your partner's not just going to hand you over to someone else. It's like somebody is fighting. Like I said, the energy is here and here, but also, like I said, the Five of Cups. It's like somebody gets their heart broken and the energy is there. It's like this is, a loss and disappointment because of, kind of some type of spontaneous decision, in the middle of this fight here. So this is interesting. All right, your confirmation cards are the Hermit, Page of Cups, and the Seven of Pentacles. At the bottom of this deck, Temperance. So this is interesting because 3 cards right here telling you to be careful. There's this element here with the Knight of Swords of just being impulsive and just kind of being like, whatever, I'm just going to do this. And they're asking you to not do that. I feel like that could lead to somebody having their heart broken. I feel like, again, this communication really kind of stands out to me for some of you. If there is no kind of third party, nobody kind of, meddling your relationship, it could be that, you and your partner have a disagreement. That's what I forgot to bring up with this card, that there's a fight with the Five of Wands. This could be conflicts. This could be bickering, misunderstandings. Like you just don't understand each other. And it could be that that's what happens here with the Nine of Wands and a Page of Swords. Like, there's a conversation where somebody's blunt and just kind of says, look, I'm not really happy in this relationship. I love you. I want to be with you. We need to work on some things. And because you're so sensitive, Cancer, Cancer can just be like, they don't love me anymore. And you might completely, begin to kind of shut down. That's why we have the Queen of Cups kind of telling you, stay in your element, keep an open heart, be compassionate and understanding. So I feel like, somebody might kind of want to jump the gun because of some type of communication, because you're protecting yourself. This could be a huge shakeup if you allow it. Now, for those of you where there is no third person in your relationship, and there won't be for everybody, so the Hermit, Temperance, and the Seven of Pentacles, these all are similar energies. These are all cards of not jumping the gun, of stopping, taking a deep breath, and really kind of thinking before proceeding, before doing anything crazy. And the Page of Cups is, right in the middle of all this. So this is, love. And ironically, it's another page, just like the Page of Swords up there. So for some of you, yes, this could be, some type of communication from another partner. Right here it is lined up. The Page of Cups is lined up with this Queen, the King and his Queen. You may be, getting that communication, before you dump your partner, really think things through carefully. And it's not necessarily that they're not necessarily telling you to not do it, but don't be impulsive about it. Really think things through. So the Hermit is this energy of, it's a major arcana as well, and you have one here and here. The Hermit is all about, taking the time to really think things through carefully, soul searching. It means that you need some space, you need some time. And it's up here with, you feeling really kind of protective and defensive, and this, really kind of communication that could rattle you from the Tower. It's like, don't let this communication, if it's just kind of your partner being honest about something because maybe they're just trying to come clean, don't completely freak out. The Hermit is telling you, like, chill out, like think about things very carefully before you do anything crazy. So the Page of Cups, like I said, this could be, if they're asking you to kind of focus on the love that you have with your partner, the Page of Cups could represent, rekindling your relationship. And it could be that this communication between you and your partner, even though it may seem harsh to you and like, you're hurt, like you never expected to say that, but it could be that this is exactly what you need, that this is exactly what heals your relationship. Now, for other people, for those who, where there could be a third party, this is, a new person. The Page of Cups could also represent a new person coming into your life. And ironically, it's already here with this weird little triangle. It's like somebody comes in and offers you love when you're already here with your partner. And the Seven of Pentacles, again, this is a very similar energy to the Hermit and Temperance. The Seven of Pentacles is just kind of telling you, stop, and think things through carefully, plan, analyze, take inventory, don't jump the gun. And Temperance, forget Temperance. Temperance is kind of telling you, hold yourself back. Like, don't do anything crazy. Don't do anything extreme. Keep everything in balance. I feel like something happens in November where there's some type of communication, either between you and your partner, and no, for those where there's no third party, there's some type of communication that you could be hurt by. It's either they're communicating with you or you communicate with them, or there could be someone that comes into the picture where, somebody's not going to give up their partner. It's not going to be that easy. From the romance angels, your messages are wedding, which says this situation involves marriage, and deception, which says someone is wearing a false self mask in this relationship. Yeah. So, this really does kind of tie in with what I was saying. And I feel, for those who are already, the scenario that I was getting from the cards, as far as those who are already in a relationship, where your partner is kind of like, kind of open with you, or maybe you're open with them, and you say, this is what I feel is wrong with the relationship. And I was saying, don't kind of freak out, panic, and want to kind of leave the relationship. This message for you is kind of saying, like, don't be your own worst enemy. Don't kind of see something that's not there just because your partner tells you we have some issues to work out. I'm even getting that, your partner can tell you that they need some space. Don't let that rattle you. That doesn't mean that they're not going to come back. Because I feel like it, instead of, it being a breakup, it makes your relationship stronger. Now, for those where, where there is this like energy of like a third party, I feel like this message here is, again, it's telling you to be careful. It's like you already have, like for some of you, yes, maybe you're already married, you already have your partner. I feel like they're saying don't be deceived. I feel like, what is the phrase that's trying to come to me right now? It's not really coming to me. It's a very common phrase about looks can be deceiving. And again, this is a general reading, so it's really hard to say. And I feel like for some of you, like it could be that something is really kind of, wrong in your relationship, and this person is coming in, is kind of like a knight in shine armor, and they're saying this card could represent that, don't wear that, that false mask, kind of telling yourself that everything is okay in your relationship when it's not. But for other people, it's hard to say because this is a general reading. There could be something about the person where you have to take time to really examine them before you make that big decision. Because remember, we did have the Knight of Swords here kind of saying that someone could be really kind of impulsive and spontaneous and just kind of make a quick decision. And somebody is left heartbroken here. So I feel like there could be something really interesting that comes up for you and in November, but the main energy is Queen of Cups, and I feel like this also just means kind of focusing on yourself, on what do you want, what do you want? If there are issues with your partner where you feel like you're being shut out, again, you just have to do what your heart and your intuition are telling you. The Queen of Cups is very intuitive, so you know exactly what you have to do. Again, if this scenario does play out for you where there is, more than one partner available, they're asking you to be very, careful. It's not that they're telling you that this is not the right person for you or they're trying to scare you away. But I feel like they really want you to, like if you're kind of swapping partners, they want you to do this, with a sense of peace, where you didn't just like dump someone like overnight and emailed them or text them and kind of goodbye, we're done. You really did things the right way and you gave them the benefit of the doubt. I feel like they're just kind of saying, stay away from deception. Now for your general reading, your cards are the Ten of Pentacles, Knight of Wands, Queen of Wands, Nine of Swords, King of Cups, the Prince of Cups, the Three of Wands, the Two of Pentacles, and Strength. At the bottom of the deck is the main energy around you in general. It is the Seven of Wands. So this really does resonate with the love reading because the Seven of Wands represents standing your ground, speaking up for yourself, not being anybody's doormat, fighting for something. It just means that sometimes you have to confront someone else who is bullying you, or someone that maybe you don't really want to stand up to. Could even be your spouse. It's one thing that comes up because your first card is the Ten of Pentacles. So this card is family, this is marriage, this is children. This is also financial stability. So even though I already did the love reading for you, marriage is coming up again. And I feel like, there's something that you want to change. We have the Knight of Wands. And I feel like for a lot of you, this is what I was talking about in the love reading. Anything that comes up where there's honest communication, don't let it rattle you. Don't go running away because your spouse brings up something that you don't want to hear. The Knight of Wands is a really positive card. That means that you're leaving something difficult behind. You're moving on to something better. This is really kind of high energy. And it's next to the Queen of Wands. So this could represent your spouse, maybe is, a fire sign. It could even represent you. Especially seated next to the Knight of Wands, because both are very, fiery energy. I feel like when it comes to, this is what I'm getting, I feel like when it comes to your marriage or even your biological family, if you're not married, I feel like you have to be the one to step up to the plate. Because the Queen of Wands is very much take charge, assertive, she makes things happen. She doesn't just kind of walk and, kind of let destiny play itself out. She makes things happen. She's very self-confident, motivated. And the Knight of Wands is just kind of ready for action. This is very kind of restless energy of wanting to see something happen, making things happen. This is a card of change and movement. So I feel like in some way, you're taking matters into your own hands when it comes to either your finances or your relationship. And with this main energy here, the Seven of Wands, this is kind of the buck stops here. You're standing your ground. And you're standing up for yourself in some way. And like I said at the beginning of the reading, it could be for those of you who are married that it's with your spouse. It's here it is, and it is what it is. Especially with that message that we had in the love reading from the Page of Swords, which is just kind of honest communication. So I feel like for some of you, this is with your spouse, but could even be, when it comes to your finances. It could be that you are taking control of your finances. Maybe things have not been well for you, especially for those who are not married. It's like you're laying the foundation for having a family one day, for being able to take care of your children. It could be that, you're open to a new career, that you're more motivated with the Queen of Wands there. And with the KN, I feel like there could be more opportunities that come up for you because you're feeling really motivated and know you really want to see something change. Okay, so this row here, the Nine of Swords, the King of Cups, Prince of Cups. So the Nine of Swords, this is, a lot of anxiety and worry. And, the King, even though it is a king, interesting enough, we have the Queen in the love reading. The King of Cups, even though it's a king, it could be you. If you're a female watching this, if you're male, obviously this is you. I feel like there's some type of, worry or anxiety when it comes to your partner, which could be the Prince of Cups. I'm hearing stress as well. And some of this could be financial. Some of this could be financial. And this could be, why you're kind of laying down the law. Maybe like we need to save more money. I'm even getting that there could be disagreements, kind of pushing and shoving. I do see the Strength card down here. It could be that there's, some pushing and shoving when it comes to finances, kind of maybe your spouse is overspending. Maybe they point out to you that you're overspending. I feel like, seeing this right here especially looks so strange. It really does resonate with the love reading that we did, except that it was the King and the Queen, and here it's the King and the Prince. I still kind of feel like this is like you and your partner and some type of like anxiety here with the Nine of Swords. It's like something you don't want to see this happen. I feel like you're concerned in some way about your relationship. But this could also just be, finances, or you're concerned about someone. This could even be, it may not even be you. It could be that you're concerned about someone around you who is a water sign, sun, moon, or rising. Now down here you have the Three of Wands, the Two of Pentacles, and Strength. So I feel, with the Three of Wands here, they're telling you to keep your eyes on the prize. And the prize is probably, more financial stability. Your first card was a Ten of Pentacles. Like I said, to me this card represents marriage and children, but it also represents financial stability, and kind of seeing the reading, like looking at it like this: marriage and children, fears, and this is, keeping your eyes on the prize, looking towards the future, knowing that your time will come. So I feel like some of you may be concerned, I don't know, this is about your relationship, or it could even be, your kind of your finances. You want things to be more balanced and settled. And ironically, you have the Two of Pentacles. This is not a very kind of balanced energy. This is kind of, scattered energy and too many balls up in the air. It's next to Strength. And Strength, it's this message. It's a major arcana, and it's the only one that you have in this reading. So this is, the loudest message from Spirit. This is telling you to be strong. I feel like, something could, trigger your ego. And you do have, this energy here of the Nine of Swords, which is fear and anxiety. Something could trigger your ego. And it could be, something external that happens, like regarding your finances. It could even be, I'm reminded that we had the Five of Wands in the love reading, and that also is a message of kind of egos clashing, the ego kind of taking over. And that's the same message here. Even though this is a general reading, it's just a message that I'm getting. I feel like someone could be kind of looking for something better, looking towards the future. This could be, you deciding between two things or two people. And you're just going to have to be really compassionate with yourself with Strength, and not listen to your ego. You can, with this card, you can either listen to your ego or you can listen to your higher self. It's up to you. And I feel like you're deciding between two things in November. To me, the Two of Pentacles, if it's not kind of scattered energy, and for some of you it could be things, too many balls up in air, it could mean that you're deciding between two things and two people, looking towards the future, because maybe you're deciding to make a change. Again, this resonates with your love reading, but either way, the main energy is, kind of standing your ground. Don't be intimidated by other people. Maybe you're trying to get a, pay raise, or maybe you're standing up to your spouse. This is just kind of like, laying down the law to someone. From the Magical Mermaids and Dolphins, your additional messages are: let yourself receive, which says allow others to give you loving care, receive without guilt or apology, and ready, set, go, which says now is the perfect moment to dive in and embrace your heart's desire. Yeah, so they're kind of telling you the door is wide open. And it kind of felt like, trying to tie everything together that I see here. That for some of you, like, you want to change something, like, within your family. And for some of you, it could very well be financial. Like, you want more stability. And this is kind of telling you it's up to you. And, these two oracle cards are telling you the door is, wide open. This is, let yourself receive. It's kind of telling you, like, not to be afraid, be open to receive, whatever opportunities come your way in the month of November. Like I said, you could be deciding between two things or two people here with the Two of Pentacles, and they're telling you that, the time is right. Like, you're right. This is a time of, opportunity and change. So I feel like any type of procrastinating, I feel like, any opportunities that come up where you kind of feel like, no, I should just, wait for something else, or I'm not ready to make that kind of, change in my life. I feel like this could be something that you regret, like, that was the perfect opportunity, like maybe for a new job or a new home, kind of maybe fixing your relationship. Since the first card was a Ten of Pentacles, they just kind of telling the doors wide open, but also don't forget this message here, kind of telling you that November is the month where you really have to, lay down the law and stand up for yourself. Stand your ground. Okay, Cancer, I will end the reading here. I hope you enjoyed it. Much love and bless.